Guys, welcome back to the After Action Review. You guys know me. I'm Nick Guy. I'm the world's most okayest Green Beret. And with us today, we have a more than okay Green Beret, Clay Martin. He is, God, man, dude, you've done everything. You were an infantry Marine. You were a recon man, a scout sniper. Then you raised your GT score and became a GB. You became the master race of the SF world in 18 Echo comms, then an 18 Fox, and now you write books and you review weapon systems, and you've got a good thing going, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, brother. Dude, I noticed your office as soon as we came on. Like, bro, you're making me look bad. Look at that. That is super fancy. You look professional.
Yeah, but you're like a working author though. So like you're supposed to kind of be like scatterbrained, and I like to picture you like Hemingway.
As you may see from my catastrophe.
It's just all the ideas, man.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
It's all it is. It's just the creative juices flowing. You can't be slowed down by things like
cleaning up or knowing where things are.
Exactly. No, man. You got to get online, buy more luau shirts, and push out books.
Well, you got to. Man, I built my first 80% yesterday, so I felt like it was luau shirt day.
Dude, I saw that, man. It came out great.
Dude, I was super excited about it. I was actually a little sketched out going into this because I looked at these before, and it's one of those things like I never built my own guns. I was always the driver of the gun. Like I didn't build it.
Yeah.
I did, Bravo's job or the super ninja armor or whatever. So I'm not even a very good gunsmith, but man, we slapped that thing together in like 30 minutes, and it looks good, functions well. I got to go out and test fire today, but just running the slide and whatever, it looks pro.
I mean, when I have an 80%, I have a 80%er. Well, the guts. My buddy has an 80%er.
He's taking a boating today, but yeah,
he wanted to get out on the water, man.
Yeah,
you gotta. And, I told him, I said, listen, the gun can't swim. It can't swim, so just be careful.
What if you get attacked by a great white, though? You're going to want a Glock 19.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's obviously. But, no, they're great because one, I like them because the grip angle is far more traditional than, like, a standard Glock. Like, you have, like, that familiar 1911 Sig Sauer feel with the grip angle. And it runs kind of like this, like a far more standard rail than the Glock proprietary rail, which is great. And then when you look at it, like the insides are identical to like a Glock OEM lower, so everything kind of just fits right in. They're great, man.
It's got a lot of potential, man. I was, like I said, I was a little intimidated to do it, but I also actually did a video on it, so it'll be coming out on Guns America next month about how we did everything. But I looked at it for two reasons. One, I wanted to be able to do like all the things I wanted in a Glock without having to buy any aftermarket parts. So, you go buy a factory Glock, you got to get a barrel if you want a threaded one, and, new sights, obviously, because the little plastic ones are garbage, and, a new trigger, blah, 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 whatever. It seems like it might actually be cost effective to build this way using things like an Apex trigger, which is fantastic, some good sights, wherever you get those from, and like a threaded barrel right off the bat. So, I'm pretty excited about it. And, I was also a little bit intimidated by the fact that I don't have a drill press or anything, right? So
yes.
All the guys that are doing this online have all these cool tools and shit, and I'm not going to go buy a CNC machine to make plastic. So this is no kidding, dude. We cut mine, and this is the first one I've ever done with a Dremel tool and a hand drill, and it seems to be absolutely working great.
That's all you need, and you don't need like you don't need a fancy shop. Like
no.
The first one I built was at my living room table. Like that's how it was. Yeah, it was a mess, but it's too simple. You don't need any fancy equipment. You can just go out in your garage and make it happen.
Get it done. Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's pretty neat.
New guns. God.
Just give me some rare.
Dude, so I wanted to bring you on because you're I like to consider you probably one of the sharper wits on Twitter.com. I really do. Because I think, honestly, like, and I think, it's the whole aesthetic you've got going on. You got your luau shirt on. You're ready. Oh, hold on. Is that a Carl G. Lowell shirt?
Hell yeah, dude. You know what kids are
Oh
broke.
yeah, I just
Yeah,
noticed
son.
that. I just That's fantastic. So the wit matches the aesthetic, and you know as well as I do the big news this week. And I wanted to speak to this. I wanted to speak to this earlier, but I kind of got caught up writing a piece. But I wanted to speak to it. This whole nonsense with the circle game at the Army Navy game. My
Yeah.
God, that was first off, the stories were running before the game had even finished.
Right. No, nobody cared about the game anymore. They're like, oh, screw the score. This is what happened. Yeah, these guys are, fingers and stuff and weird. Yeah, throwing up
And
gang signs or whatever. Yeah.
and then you had big names pushing a narrative that was totally rooted in speculation and this fear of this boogeyman. Because God, for the last 3 years, people have been crying wolf in terms of hate crimes and white power, the rise of white nationalism. And I don't doubt, obviously everybody knows that you're going to have like those backwoods hillbillies
Right.
where, they've always been there, but they are just,
or Black Hebrew Israelites talking about killing cracker babies.
or that too,
Like,
obviously.
It goes both ways.
It does go both ways. My God. I mean, Jersey just happened too. That kind of left that kind of left the news pretty quickly too.
Yeah, funny how that works. Yeah.
Yeah, that narrative goes away.
Smoke, like.
Yeah, as soon as it doesn't fit the nice and tidy narrative, it disappears very quickly.
Dies on the vine, exactly.
Yeah. But this one did not, because this one had all the makings of the evil boogeyman and the rise of white nationalism in our sacred institutions such as West Point and the Naval Academy. It's all thanks to Trump.
Right.
That's all it is. I don't know what it is. He inspired them. He created. I don't know if they think he's got like a little lab and he's making little minion.
Probably he inserted one of his guys as the commandant of both of those schools, who was, definitely on his secret Bohemian Grove white power team or whatever.
Exactly.
And just like distilled down, just like, the Jaysh Almighty in Iraq or something. Like, okay.
It's trickle down racism.
Right. It was really quick. 3 years, too, to take over both service cat. Like,
just like
they're on it.
Man. So, I mean, honestly, man, like when we take a look at that, and this is like our this is the new reality. Like just this total lack of due diligence and jumping to conclusions, and this disregard for the ramifications of their actions. I mean, we saw it with the Covington Catholic kids with this whole jumping to conclusions nonsense.
Well, that one was bad. Yeah.
And that one was really bad. I mean, they dragged a minor. Like that's
and doxed him and all this other nonsense. Yeah, it was completely out of control.
But then they didn't. And then it turns out, the story we pushed was totally false.
Right.
And then this kid sued all these publications for a ton of money. And I really want to know what the settlement is. I know they're not going to release it, but I hope that kid is just. Filthy. He's got a garage full of exotics right now. I really hope so.
Right. Yeah, I do too. I hope he hurt him. I hope he hurt him bad.
Yeah. But they didn't learn their lesson. Even when they got hit in the, you hit them where it hurts, their wallet. Because they have a narrative to push, and they have, I don't want to say copies to sell because print media is dead, but they have a narrative to push. And so they do this, and in the process they drag. I mean, God, you and I probably feel the same way about ring knockers, but at the end of the day, they're kids.
Right. Oh yeah, completely. Like, you ever had like one of those West Point cadets like attached to your team for a couple weeks or something?
Yes.
So they could, yeah, me too. And dude, it's amazing. Like, they make lieutenants look old. Let's just show up on the team for hang out for a week or whatever. And you're like, does your mom know you're here, guy? Like, oh, it's so cute, But,
go ahead.
I think there's some people forget. I mean, these guys are young. I mean, they're 22 at the oldest.
Yeah.
But, most of them are like 19 and a half, 20. And in addition to that, because they went straight into college, service academy, college, whatever, they're just like college kids. Like, it's not like that's a grunt from the 82nd Airborne with 2 years of life and getting beat up by Big Sarge under his belt. This is still like a total knucklehead kid. I mean, yeah, they're at West Point, but they're young as the day is long. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, they're privates who have gone through. I mean, they're privates. Like, and privates do stupid things.
They haven't even been beat up by boot camp yet.
No, they do that summer in the beginning, but
kind of, yeah.
We know. You miss that certain je ne sais quoi that a boot camp experience has. That misery, because West Point and the Naval Academy, they're
for the rest of the officers. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's a institution of higher learning when you boil it down. So they're not gonna like totally come crushing down on some 18-year-old that they're trying to mold into
an engineer or some nerd thing.
Yeah. And then expect to leave the Army and then go sit on the board of JP Morgan or Bear Stearns because they love those guys. Or you can get a talking head gig with CNN making six figures.
Right. Only if you baff the other team, you commie.
And then you can highlight how even after 30 years in the Army, you still can't shoot.
Right. Okay.
Hurtling. God.
I laugh every time I see that. I'm like, it's embarrassing, man. It's really embarrassing. Like, I've seen 9-year-old kids on the 3-gun circuit that could just outgun that clown all day long. They can barely hold on to a 9mm. They're holding on to a 9mm like this, and they would stomp that dude. It's embarrassing.
I love watching the video. I really do. And I wish I had the means and the know-how to just like, hey, let's pull up this video so we can just show how a 30-year veteran of the Army has zero recoil control of an AR-15. Like the thing is like, it's like wobbling. Like the thing is just like has a mind of its own because he doesn't even seat it into like his shoulder. It's
even if he was, he's leaned back, afraid of the gun, and it was all kinds of nerd.
Oh
shit.
God,
like, come on, bro. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I can't. I want to know how he woke up that morning. He goes, you know what? You know it's going to be a good idea to highlight my inability to shoot on national television.
Generals have this problem though, just like the swamp creatures in DC. They live in a bubble surrounded by yes men. Nobody's probably told that guy in the last 15 years that he's a chucklehead, and somebody should have slapped him around. He probably woke up that morning like, I'm pretty much an expert at weaponry and the tacticals and shooting and stuff. It was like put on them stars. Like, I don't know if you know this about me, but I got a Legion of Merit for getting coffee at the Pentagon one time when I was a lieutenant colonel. Yeah, they're clowns, man, for the most part. I mean, they suck, dude. I mean, there are some exceptions. I will grant you. There's some general officers that are brilliant, and there's some general officers that absolutely have it together, but they are few and far between. Most of these clowns are politicians, and that's just how it works.
Yeah, it's no secret that if you're gonna leave the Eagle and get that star, you need to know how to play politics. You need to. It's an open secret.
Right.
Well, we kind of took a path. I'm gonna take this path. You got your Mujahideen shirt on, and we're talking guns and hurtling. So, dude, did you follow this whole Virginia fiasco with the politician recommending that the governor activates the guard to assist in weapons confiscation?
Oh, dude, this is some scary stuff. This is this is one of those things where, like, you got your tinfoil hat and you got your tinfoil sombrero, and you try to keep them both in the closet over there, but sometimes they come out, you got to put them on.
Yeah.
And, I try not to be too, like, overreactive about what is happening, but at the same time, I've never seen anything like this in our lifetimes. Like, this is absolutely bananas. I mean, it's completely not. The way that the counties are arrayed against them too they're up to 90 or maybe even 100 right now of counties of Virginia that are like, screw you, we're Second Amendment sanctuary counties now.
Yeah.
And then they flip around with that, like, we'll use the National Guard, which they actually legally can do. The governor can call up the National Guard as long as he pays for it.
Yeah.
It's not like we have to get like Title 10 approval or something. And then the other side of that is that law that they passed or that they proposed that would instantly fire any public servant that refuses to enforce Second Amendment rules. Well, this is just more that like we're playing by the rules and they're not, because when these same kinds of things were tried against immigration sanctuary cities, it took years, the last like 3 years of the Obama administration. You had states like Texas suing the federal government over the fact that they were stopping them from enforcing their own laws in their own state because, like, let's say the city of Austin popped up like, we're a Second Amendment, or we're a immigration sanctuary city. The federal government was actually stopping Texas from crushing their morale. And now we fast forward 3 years where it's a Second Amendment thing, and all of a sudden they're trying to play by an entirely different set of rules. This is very dangerous. This is how people start getting shot. It's teetering on that cusp, and all you need is somebody that's a little trigger happy or a little more ready to go than everybody else, and it gets ugly quick.
It's going to make the Kent State University incident look like a picnic.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
100%.
Now the only there is a silver lining, and it's the fact that I think in Virginia they're called assemblymen for the state assembly. I think they're assemblymen. This Democratic assemblyman has no idea what he's talking about, because in his statement, which caused all of this, he told the governor to federalize the National Guard, which seriously, like I just got done reading the statement, and jackpot.
Well, you don't want to see that. You're welcome, viewers.
Yeah, that was just a little treat for the ladies watching. That's all. But he was talking about federalizing the National Guard, which is a whole nother issue. Right. I mean, that's the silver line. Like they don't know what they're doing. I mean, granted, it was newsworthy enough that the governor released a statement where he basically gave a perfect politician's answer. I mean, the guy's a good politician. He survived the whole freaking blackface fiasco.
Blackface coon, man.
My God.
Well, that just goes back to what I'm talking about. We're playing by the rules and they're not. If that had been a Republican governor or Republican anybody of any other state, they would have crucified him.
Oh my God.
And yet he managed to dress up. Now, we can even take that back to the circle game kids from the academy. Okay, this is a stupid game. This is an idiotic game that we played when we were kids.
Yeah.
At any point in your life, and I grew up in Texas, which you might as well be part of the South. At any point in my life, did I think it was okay to dress up as a Klansman and or a dude in blackface? As a child of the 80s? No. No, not even close. Not even as a kid would you do that as a joke. Like, in fact, if you try to put on shoe polish and go to school, your mom would beat your ass. Like that's not gonna happen. And yet this guy admitted he was one of those two things.
Either a Klansman. There was no correct answer.
There was
You're
no
either a Klansman or in blackface.
You could be dressed up as the curtain. You're still not okay because you decided it was okay to be included in the picture. And yet they reelected him. Yeah. So, I mean, they're playing by a completely different set of rules than we are.
So, I mean, we know he's a good politician. He gave a perfect politician's answer with the whole issue, saying, "Oh, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it." But it is concerning that he's like, "No, we're not going to use the National Guard to take people's guns away," because, I mean, but
go to Lexington or Concord.
Sir, I mean, my God, like, what a perfect place to kick things off. Like, so. God, and you're right. I don't like pulling out like the tinfoil hat. I'm definitely not like one of these threepers. I call them threepers, the 3%ers out there LARPing in the woods. They're all freaking. They're overweight. They don't have any training. It's just hysterical to watch.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, 1776 will commence again." And I was like, nah. But my God, we're really approaching that. Like, just the fact that there is a conversation about utilizing the National Guard to confiscate. The irony is so thick you could lather it up and put it on a slice of bread. Really,
it's absolutely bananas. Well, and we have the advantage too of we in our line of work have looked at historically both how countries collapse into chaos and we've also been trained how to like give us a little push sometimes in the direction either we want them to not go or to, whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I think this one is different. There have been a lot of flashpoints over the last 20 years, but nobody was showing up at Waco, let's say, with, a homemade gun truck to defend some weirdo religious cult. Whether that was right or wrong is beyond the scope of the conversation. We have had now in the last few years a couple of like really wild things happen. You had the the dudes out of Nevada. They got in a big pissing match with the government over water rights.
Yeah, oh man,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
the Bundys. Was it the Bundys?
Maybe, I don't know. God, whatever. Yeah.
So they go to Oregon. They take over like the BLM office with like machine guns and whatever, and like hold up there for like 3 weeks and all this crazy stuff. Well, I never really like looked behind the issues that because it was just beyond my concern. But the important point is they then beat the charges. Like those guys walked on everything.
Yeah, yeah. which is incredible because they definitely had NFA items.
Oh yeah, and
they took hostages
with like guns to take over federal property and did so, and a jury of their peers was like, "You're good, man. It's cool." And that tells me a lot about the state of our country. And again, that's with none of the background. Maybe those guys were 100% right, but either way, the way they finished it was probably not right.
Yeah,
but they beat it. You take that, and then you look at the situations in Virginia, and as well as all the Second Amendment sanctuary counties that have popped up. You've had all these sheriffs in places like Washington State, New Mexico, Oregon that are like, "Hey, man, we're just not enforcing this stuff. We're not doing this garbage." That really shows, I think, the divide of like how close we are to a powder keg. Like for once, I think it may not be tinfoil hattery, and something I say often, like, I'm not sure that we're voting our way out of this, man. I'm not sure that that's happening.
At least not at the current rate that, a single one of the two major parties is going, and then you have organizations like the NRA, which have turned into clown shows themselves. Like,
right.
I mean, God, the NRA has been probably the left's best friend in stripping gun rights the past couple of years.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think the bigger issue is it goes well beyond guns at this point too. That we have a cultural divide that may be insurmountable for once. We've got Seattle hiring trainee strippers to show up and combat homelessness by being paid to be a trainee stripper at their public council meeting or whatever. And you got all this stuff going on. You've got one side that can't decide how many genders there are and wants to mutilate children's genitals and put them on hormone blockers. And you got the other side, and I just don't know that those things can be overcome. Like this is maybe gone too far.
It's a fair question. My God. Oh man. And like you said, I mean, in our line of work, you start to recognize some signs of where is this society going? And
right. Is this actually going to fracture? Are these just little pressure spots that can be relieved and they'll have a little isolated and that's it.
And then you see what happens when there is a total breakdown in a society. Libya is the perfect example. And it was all our fault. It was all of our fault.
Right.
I mean, my God, I know we're going off on a tangent here, but it happens every time I have SF guys on the show because it's like a team room conversation. It's all over the place.
Right. I do like Legos, actually. Anyway.
But Gaddafi was a garbage human being. He was, and he was evil. But some countries need strong, evil people to lead them. That's just it's an unpopular opinion, but I think it's the truth.
Was Iraq more of a problem in 2000 or in 2013? This goes that way too. There were definitely times in like 05, 06, 07 when or before Saddam got hung. I guess that was 2006. That it was like, maybe we should go get him out of his jail cell and give him a big bag of money and be like,
sorry,
hey man, you were right. Here's an armored division. Do what you need to do. See you later.
But But yeah, I mean, so we facilitated his removal, and by removal, I mean his extrajudicial execution by
No,
sodomy,
no,
by sodomy on camera, and like,
right.
and now what does Libya have now?
Oh,
Open air slave markets.
cannibalism, slave markets. I mean, it's complete, absolute mayhem. Yeah, I mean, it's basically Mad Max world over there on steroids. And what are you going to do to fix it? You're going to kill everybody? Because that's pretty much what you're going to need to do. And that's going to be expensive.
Oh my God, what a mess. But yeah, I mean, that's what happens when society fails. I mean, so God, I don't think we're not getting to that, but my God, there's definitely some indicators that,
Well,
that
I'm
something,
more worried about, not divisions of people shooting each other or whatever kind of nonsense, but I am very worried about, say, a low-level guerrilla war happening all over the country, the same way that it did in, like, say, Northern Ireland or the Balkans or something like that. Just because, again, that's a messy proposition. One thing about us guys that have fought the war, nobody wants to have a war here less than us. Like, I like my air conditioning. I like the fact that my garbage is picked up on the curb every Tuesday. I like going to the grocery store with, maybe a little gun in case, but, not having to wear armor and take 15 of my friends to, get a can of soup. We don't want that. We've seen it, and it was ugly, and nothing that we would ever want to happen here. But, you can only push people so far as well. And, I mean, we don't want to see it, but, you know, people keep pushing. That may be what happens.
I would agree. That's actually that's a pretty good analogy. Maybe the IRA or the Balkans, or maybe what happened in the Caucasus back in the mid '90s, something like that.
Right.
But yeah, I think
Not
that's
what we
fair.
consider like large scale warfare, but still you're looking at, little tit for tat assassinations and bombings. And the bad thing about especially these kinds of wars is because they're fought by amateurs, bystanders are always the people that get caught in the middle. You have dudes
Yeah,
doing drive-bys with machine guns, bystanders are going to get hurt. You have people planting bombs, they're not always good at it. Innocent people are going to end up getting hurt. And that's why these things, I think, are so messy.
they are. And God, I really do hope that we never have to come to that, because that's not America. But listen, the founding of our country is unique and interesting in the fact that it was based on those principles. So something, I think it's just a little food for thought. That's all.
Right. Concur.
Man. All right, man. Well, I want to move on, because we got down.
I got you, man.
Yeah, we were talking about nasty things. Let's talk about things everybody likes, and that's shooting. And I know shooting's a huge part for you, a huge part of your life. It comes across in your books, which I love, by the way. I have to admit, I just started the first one.
Gotcha.
Totally. But I already can't just put it down. One, I think it's really, really super that a Marine learned how to write. I think that's really super.
That's actually why they kicked me out. They found out that I could spell, and they were like, "Seabag, front gate now."
Oh man. But dude, something that's really unique in your books, though, and I think it's because you come from a world where you've been there, done that. It comes through in the writing. Like, you're not an author who is using his knowledge of action movies to craft the action of this thriller. It's Clay Martin, former Scout sniper and Green Beret sniper, and that's coming through in the book, and I think that's phenomenal. So, I mean, you kind of brought the two together, writing and shooting. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Like, shooting wise, you're super into the long gun game. You're known in the long gun game. A teammate of mine knows you because he's into the long gun game too. So, I mean, how did you kind of reconcile the two? I mean, did one day you're like, I want to write a book, or was it like, wow, I could do some writing based off of all this shooting knowledge?
Well, believe it or not, it actually came from what I did for a day job. Because at the time I was doing gun reviews, which I still do quite a bit of. But basically, I started looking at it as, and doing a gun review is more like technical writing. It's like, it's this and, this kind of thing or whatever. And, these are specs, this kind of thing. and then performance wise, and it kind of is boring when you do it a lot. If you want to read about a specific gun, that's one thing. When you had to like basically make the technical data pack to go with it all this time, it gets old. But I was looking at it and I was like, one day I was just like, how many words are in a novel? And it turns out that the answer is between like 60,000 120,000. Actually, some of your classics, like some Kurt Vonnegut books, are on the lower side of that, around like your 60K or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But normal, what's considered a novel these days is 80. So I'm like, okay. And then I looked and I was like, I do that every month and a half about technical data. And I was just like, man, I think I can do this. And it's I kind of had this story that had been brewing in my head, and I was like, I think I can turn that into a novel. And one of the other things that I really wanted to bring forward with it is, I read a lot, always have, and I never really got into like the military fiction-y genre for the most part. There's some classic examples like Point Impact from Stephen Hunter and things like that. But I was like, I should also look at that. So I looked at some of the stuff that's out today, and a lot of it's garbage. And it's not the writer's fault. It's just they don't know what they're talking about, and it really reflects in both, like your guns and your stuff like that, but also in like your team guy thing. Because everybody wants to write these days about a SEAL or a Spec Ops ninja or whatever, but because you can tell they don't know any of them. Like, it comes across as like this just trope after trope of like basically hot garbage, man. It's just how it is. It's
if the 1980s movie Navy SEALs was a novel, this would
exactly. That is most of your like military thriller fiction kind of thing. So one of the things I wanted to do with this is I wanted to make it kind of like a realistic character, which is also why most of my characters are based on real people that I know. Almost everyone is based on a teammate or former teammate. And then just kind of all naturally flowed together.
I think you have a winning combination. Because like I said, it doesn't read like Charlie Sheen is getting wasted off of Bud Heavies and then diving headfirst off of the Coronado Bridge into the water.
Right. Or the Navy SEAL / ski team guy that carries a SIG with 9,000 rounds in it and always bangs the hot chick that had to be introduced to the story for no reason. Come on, man.
First off, don't talk crap about Commando. It's the greatest movie that's ever been made.
I concur.
But no, that movie was a walking trope. Absolutely. That's what you get in like political thriller and military thriller writing. So yours is refreshing. I will say that.
Well, thanks, brother. Glad you're digging it, man.
Yeah. Dude, all right, I had to bring this up because you had posted it. I don't know, I didn't read enough of it to look into it, but I want to talk about it because for years I had a Ruger precision rifle and I loved it.
Yeah.
I ended up selling it because I was like, I'm gonna upgrade. Like, it was chambered in 6.5, which is a great round, super flat flying, super high ballistic coefficient, like a really great target round.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, if I wanted to like do some big game hunting in the future, like I don't want to sink all this money into a long range, like a long gun that has specific applications. Like I want something with a little more, well-roundedness. Gotcha. So I sold it, and I've been like in this process of wondering, like, man, what's the next long gun I'm gonna get? Like I was looking at, like Tikas, and you can throw them in like great chassis. Like a Kinetic Research Group has, I think, the sexiest chassis out there.
Oh yeah, their stuff is legit.
So like you could spend a lot of money on like a Tika or a Seiko. Throw it in like a high dollar amount chassis. But then I'm on your Twitter feed and I see Ruger has come out with a precision rifle chambered in .338.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And 300 Windman. And
right. And 300 PRC actually this year as well.
Wow.
Which is about the hottest round going.
It is. Everybody's talking about it.
I haven't even got to shoot a round of 300 PRC yet, but I have friends that especially guys that stayed in the sniper world when they retired, that swear that is like the end all be all round. Every one of them is like, if I could go back to Afghanistan with one round, that would be it.
Really,
it's that good.
Man. So, I mean, honestly, I mean, what happened in the last couple of years? Because you and I have talking a little bit about this, like on Twitter, like this world of long range shooting is going through this
Right.
renaissance. Where,
Here's kind of where I think you go with this, with especially like with the rifles. Now, it wasn't that many years ago that to have like a mean competitive long range gun, you had to have one custom built.
yeah,
And then you're looking at, like $4,000 to $6,000, and all this wazoo stuff, and then you're going to shoot the barrel out in 2,000 rounds, and spend another 700 to have one fit, blah blah blah, fill in the blank. So, and that was kind of like where chassis started. Well, you really had two, in my opinion, that changed the game. That was Ruger and Tikka, because Tikka makes a mean chassis gun as well that's not that expensive. But you probably put that one on Ruger. Ruger was like, all right, man, what if we made a reasonably affordable rifle? Because most times a Ruger RPR for for like 30865s, going for about $1,000 right now.
yeah,
And the big boys, the Win Mags and the 338s, I think about 1,400. They're like, what if we made a really good precision rifle that was cheap enough for everybody to afford? And they did. I mean, I didn't think a whole lot, I'll be honest, of Ruger guns as far as performance wise until that RPR and American series came out. And they really are. They're fantastic, man. The triggers are good. The way they work is good. The accuracy is phenomenal. I've tested now multiple Ruger Americans, which is the hunting rifle variant of that. Every one of them is between a half MOA and 3/4 of an MOA. It's minute angles, so it's like half inch group 100 yards for you guys that are super gun dorks. But I mean, there's absolutely incredible. And then if you go up in price just a little bit to like 16, 1700, the Tikka, as far as chassis go, it'll outperform guns that are 3 times as much. I mean, it's absolutely insane. The Tikka T3 TAC A1 is actually the first review gun that I bought. Like, that was when it came in and I shot it, I was like, you might as well just invoice me because you're not getting this back, like hell or high water, because it was so incredible. I mean, my trigger is about a 2-pound trigger, self-adjustable. The bolt is as smooth as $6,000 guns used to be that were like hand honed by one nerd with like a jewel thing on his eye and all this other nonsense. But yeah, I mean, for like $1,800, you can buy a competitive gun out of the box.
I mean, it is incredible. Like, because you said 5 years ago, if you wanted a 1,000-meter gun,
yeah,
you were paying surgeon like
right.
$8,000.
Like here you go.
And don't get me wrong, like they are still beautiful guns.
Beautiful
and every time I've had the opportunity to shoot a surgeon, I was like, oh man. But it's like getting behind the wheel of a Ferrari or something. Like, of course, like it's. But I mean, I'm really, really loving like this new life that long range gunning has found, and you can find long range competitions everywhere now.
Right.
And people just come out because they I don't know, maybe they find it cathartic there, because it is a little more. It is a thinking man's sport, and you're going to have to do some things. And it's not just breathing, trigger pull, body position. It's like, okay, how am I reading this wind? What, with this density altitude, what can I expect my drop and things like that? And it's fascinating to me. And like I said, I'm just a Sodic guy. I'm not a Sifsic guy. If you were to put me behind a rifle with a TMR or a mil dot reticle, I can't remember. I can't because like Horus and Tremor have come out with these reticles that just make long range shooting just an absolute pleasure without a lot of the.
Well, I mean, you can actually take like the Horus reticles and say that and the ballistic computers is what changed the game. And I was actually really very fortunate because just not because I'm so awesome, but because of dumb luck. I fell on the cutting edge of that as it was coming in. So I was a Marine Scout sniper and urban sniper, all this other nonsense, all this crap, and then so that was like my life there. Well, then when I transferred over to a third group, my first week on the team was going out to Todd Hod nets for the very first time. And because I was a new guy, I was still said like new guy name tape on my uniform. I was very much in shut up, and do exactly what you're told mode, because that's how it is when you report to a new team.
First, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, you know, in my head, I'm actually thinking, I'm like, dude, these guys are dorks. Like, what's some civilian, you know, chucklehead going to teach me about, you know, I've already got a combat tour with this M48-1. Like, I am, you know, T for train. Like, what's this dude going to teach me? But because I was uniquely in that, like, new guy mode, I also knew that I better not screw this up. Well, we went out to actually that first time, and, you know, he's showing us all the ballistic computers or whatever. I'm like, what is this madness? And really, dude, it took about an hour on the range, and Todd Hudnett just absolutely destroyed us and destroyed every preconceived notion I had about what you could do. And you got to remember, back in the day, they used to shut sniper school down if the wind was over like 11 miles an hour. I don't know if you know that or not.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, that was old. That was the old thinking. Like, if it's over, they said, like, school would shut down at like 11, and they said, like, you know, the best trained professional, like, awesome dudes we got, it's over 15, you can't take a shot. Like, can't be done. But there's a lot of this was limitations of our equipment and understanding. And this is something I was actually going to bring up with Jesse on his show the other day, but I didn't get a chance to, so we'll bring it up here. I think a lot of it was actually driven by scarcity of resources. So, you know, go back to the early 2000s. If you were a military sniper, like, you got all kinds of ammo at $2 a match grade round at a time when, you know, also a minute of angle gun, like we said, was like $6,000. It was crazy. Like, you know, our sniper rifles in the Marine Corps were hand built by these special armorers, and there's like no telling what they cost. So you had these guys like Hodnett, who's just never been in the military, just a, you know, cowboy from Texas, used to drive a UPS truck, for God's sake, that wanted to compete in this long range game. And there was no way they could match it on money, like not a chance. Yeah. So I think that they had to start thinking outside the box to adapt and win, and he was the guy that did it the best. So that's actually how he became like a long range teacher. He won all these sniper comps, and then like USASOC was like, maybe we should go check this out. So it's like, back to one of the first teams that's ever out there. So we've got our SR-25s out, which are not very accurate guns either. I mean, no, you'll have a minute and a half, 2 minutes at best. You know, most of the time, you can occasionally find a minute angle, but they're rare. And as the new guy, I promise you, I don't have one of those. I got like the one assembled out of spare parts in the back room. Like, got a paint job on it and shit. So it's like the first day, and he's like, okay, you know, here's a little computer and your horse reticle, and we're all going to line up here, and we're going to shoot this 900-meter target, which is also like outside of where we thought through it would go. Yeah. And we're in North Texas, and dude, it's honking. It's like 25, 27 mile an hour wind. And I'm like, we're wasting our time here, dude. No way. And, you know, plug the stuff in my computer, and I have to hold like 11 mils to the right. You know, so it's just almost out of the scope with this Generation 1 Horus. Ting! And that was it. Like, at that point, I was a Hodnett disciple, and he really did. He changed things. The computers and the Horus reticles pretty much, what I like to say about it is it took sniping from an art to a science. You went from like this esoteric, like you had to be one with the gun and have this like stacks of data books and all this garbage, to like, if you can pull the trigger, if I could feed you the stuff in the computer, you'll hit every time. Yeah. And dude, change the way that we think and change the way that we do things. And anybody that's not on that train, if you're trying to play long gun, you're wrong. You were a dinosaur, and you're going to lose. Oh yeah. And again, like, it just like with the guns, like that technology, like a ballistic computer, you can get a Kestrel for $500. Right. Right. You can get mid-range glass with a Horus reticle or a Tremor reticle now. Like, it's incredible. Like, it's really this fantastic thing. And so yeah, I figured like, oh, you know, Clay probably had dope books like in the Marine Corps back in the 90s. Yeah. Now right. It's like, I don't know. I don't even care anymore. Like take the scope up, put it on that gun. One of the funniest things I've seen, because okay, let me go back to the actually first thing. So I'm a Marine Scout sniper. Now I've just gone to Todd Hodnett's and learned the ways of the Horus. Well, like literally the next week, I went to Sodic. Okay. One Sodic at Bragg, or Spisk, or whatever the hell they call it now. Sif 6. So Spisco. So also, like, we're the first guys that have this stuff besides, some other whiz bang boys. So I, of course, take it to Sodic because I'm like, I'm never going back. Like, you can take those mill dots and stick them up your well-laid mill dot hole and, whatever. Like, I'm not doing it. And they threw a hissy fit because you got all these old guys at Sodic at the time. And they're like, this is garbage, whatever. Until we started just absolutely monkey stomping them. Like, the guys that had just come back from Hot Nest, like me and one teammate, just absolutely destroying them. And we came within like one round of the course record, and it was a high wind day. And finally they started to turn around too. But I mean, it was a hard fight, man. We had to like really come with it in the military circles to get the old guys to adapt to this new stuff. It's I got one of the first story about horses and mill dots. So I got this one buddy that was in Delta. So he actually learned sniper stuff on a horse first. Well, those guys go to Sodic too, right? So, a couple years down the line or whatever, he's been using this and, going to hot nets and all this crap. And he goes to Sodic, and for whatever reason, they make him take a mill dot scope and like an M24 so he looks like everybody else. He's like, I'm in there like looking at this thing like it's, dinosaur bones. Like, what am I going to do with mill dots? Like, this is retarded. Like, why would anybody do this? He couldn't understand because he, learned on the grid. And then he also can't understand why old guys can't understand the grid. He's like, the grid's idiot proof. It's like a ruler. It's a good ruler with like quarter inch marks. It's, how can you not figure this out? But it's wild. It's wild times though, man.
It is. My God. It's and when I went through Sodic, now it's Sodic 2 and then Sifsik is the level 1 course.
Level 1. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But when I went there, they put you on a 110.
Yep.
And which is, I guess, when the military adopted the SR-25.
Right. It's the evolved SR-25. With a good paint scheme, so it's cool.
Yeah. And we started shooting TMR. Like they taught us on TMR for 2 weeks, and then the TMR went away, and it was then we moved to the 2010 with the horse. And when I went through, I think those are Leupold Mark IV glass with the H58 reticle.
Yeah.
And then you go back to the 110 with the horse, and then you do the 2 days, 1 day with the Beret, because you learn that even as a Green Beret, I didn't know this until I went through Sodic, that the Beret is a 4 MOA gun.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Although I will say this, sometimes those Berets are not. I've actually shot Berets to like 3,000 meters.
What?
Yeah. Again, with Hot Net, the Beret's a weird gun. Some of them are more accurate than others. And I'm going to say that at that 3,000 meters, we were doing something completely ridiculous. We were holding like up the mountainside and then on a cloud and then volley firing 3, like, whoop, 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 and then come back down and look at the target. But we were hitting like, vehicle-sized targets at 3,000 meters with them like all day long.
Okay, there you go. Man, I guess I just had a bad Beret. But I've never actually used one real world, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. Well, and a lot of people, even in the sniper community, have a lot of hate for the Beret, and it's because it's not as accurate as a traditional sniper rifle. I would say that most of them probably actually closer to 2 MOA. But where they absolutely excel, though, is as an anti-material rifle.
Oh, yeah.
You need to hit something at even, I'm going to say, like 1,500 meters, vehicle-sized. You can absolutely crush it with a Beret. And this is another thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that recoil impulse on a Beret is actually very soft. It's a weird recoil reduction system they've got. But have you ever tried to stand up and shoulder fire a Beret?
No, personally, no.
Next time you can get some 50, do it, because you can do it all day long. It's wild. That gun moves a little bit with that weird recoil impulse.
Yeah.
But you can do it. You can stand up with a Beret 50 cal and hit targets at distance, which again I would have thought was completely insane, but you can do it.
Man. But well, maybe I'm just not as good of a shooter as I thought I was, which is a distinct possibility.
Now, I'm telling you, man, a lot of this is mythos that's been injected into the sniper community by people that didn't really understand. And a lot of that mythos breakdown either came from, guys like Hot Net that had no preconceived notions, were just like, oh, of course we can do this kind of whiz-bang nonsense. Or I would really like for more like thinking dudes to be in charge of, and I've seen it once or twice. Like sometimes you'll get like a thinking dude that's in charge of like Sodic or whatever, and he'll change everything. You know, he'll like throw all this garbage out. But I'm going to say across the board with weapons, especially, one of the best things that anybody can do is challenge the preconceived notions. I can even take that to another weird spot. So I was a cephalic instructor as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So down at third group, we also have a course called APM, Advanced Pistol Marksmanship, and it has nothing to do with advanced pistol marksmanship. It's for the long-haired nerds, right? So that they can learn some tactics and not just type reports and whatever. So we're holding this, and a lot of it is like scenario driven. So we have these shoot houses, and we'll set up weird scenarios. Like there's one in particular that we used to run back in the day was, okay, you're in a meeting with the ambassador in Kyrgyzstan, and like the building starts getting shot up. So your duty is to protect him and get him out of the building. And I would always play the ambassador, so I could be an asshole, like tug on hats and run around, act crazy. Well, we're in there this one time, and this young staff sergeant, young kid, probably been on a team for like 2 weeks or whatever. The scenario starts, and he like X's out the first bad guy, and then picks up the other Beret. So now he's got two guns. And I'm like, I'm not going to stop the scenario, but I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I am going to hammer this kid's ass when we're done, right? Because that's like the dumbest thing I've ever. It's like some video game nonsense. Well, dude, we start running. He's just running through the house because we're in a shoot house. We're like a 5 meter shot tops, right? Yeah. So he just starts waylaying the bad guy. He's just executing people. Like, why you hitting close enough? And it was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. And I was blown away. So later that day, like when the students went home, I went and got two guns, and I put up paper targets, start running to the house, just not even like really looking, because you can't look with two pistols.
Yeah,
you would actually be amazed at a close quarter battle environment, as long as you don't care about collateral damage.
Yeah,
how well two pistols works. And that's the thing that, like, if I hadn't seen it myself, I'd have been like, no way, absolutely no way. But again, challenge those preconceived notions. Like sometimes weird stuff works.
Man, I love outside the box thinking like that.
Me too.
All right, brother. Well, I won't keep you. I appreciate you coming on. We'll have you come on again because we can talk guns all day. We really can.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and crazy stuff that we've seen in the Middle East and all kinds.
Yeah, we didn't even get to like any stories, which we need to. We'll get to some stories next time.
Awesome, brother.
All right, brother. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks, man. Good having you.
Yep.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.